Hello, Roquita. I am so glad that you accepted this invitation, that you are here with us, and that you are ready to share your story and to be a guest in this I Am interview. And I invite you, our listeners, if you find anything useful and insightful, anything ready to be applied in your own lives, please do so. And also click the link in the description and donate a small amount of money for the hospitals in Romania which are in need. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to have you here today, Roquita. And we will start with a quick challenge to present you in 30 seconds to let us know who you are.
Sure. In 30 seconds, I am Roquita Johnson. I am a world-class speaking coach, a certified world-class speaking coach, and I transform individuals in ministry from simply being public speakers into being powerful presenters. I show them how to use every aspect of their voice to connect and not confuse everyone under the sound of their voice.
Beautiful mission. How did you discover this for yourself? When did the desire to become a speaker and a coach for speaking appeared into your life?
The funny thing is, if you had told me in college that I would be doing a lot of public speaking and teaching others how to be great speakers and communicators as well, I would have told you were lying. Back in college, I did not like doing presentations. It was just something you had to do because you have to graduate, so you have to do those presentations. But I did not enjoy them. What happened was the turning point. I had a marketing position at a financial institution a few years ago, like 11, 12 years ago or so. And I was quickly promoted to a different marketing position after 6 months. That position made me much more visible. That position meant I had to lead team meetings. I had to talk to copywriters, designers. I had to explain what this project was about that we were working on. And you know how when you're talking to people and you're looking at them and you feel like they're not getting what you're saying, and you ask them, do you understand? And their heads are nodding yes, but you could tell in their eyes, they're like, I don't get what she's saying at all. So I said, okay, I think this is me. I have a communication problem, and I know I'm not super comfortable with leading these team meetings yet. So I knew I needed to do something about it. So I just became proactive, and that's when I joined the Toastmasters organization, just so I could feel more comfortable talking in front of people. It wasn't a fear per se. I just wanted to feel more comfortable and feel like I could string my thoughts together more succinctly and clearly. And I stayed in Toastmasters. I'm still a Toastmaster member to this day. And another turning point I would say is in 2015, someone reached out to my Toastmasters club. I think I was the vice president of membership. She wanted public speaking tutoring for her 3 children. But I told her that Toastmasters does not do private tutoring, but I did let her know that I was well versed in public speaking, that I do some teaching from time to time. So she hired me to teach her 3 children. Her and her husband absolutely loved what their children were learning. They saw the progress that their children were making. They really believed in what I was doing. And they knew that I wasn't a teacher, but one thing they said to me was, you know, I don't know what you do for your 9 to 5, but you are such a good teacher. This is really something you need to be doing, teaching. And that's what spurred me on to become certified in public speaking as a public speaking coach. The same program I know you did as well. So I did that, and then I officially started my business. I launched my LLC, Roquita Johnson Public Speaking. And here we are.
So, do you think that bumping into a challenge like you did when you had been put in that situation to present in the business environment can be approached like a way to develop yourself and to grow and to become a better version of yourself?
Absolutely. For me, as you can see, it definitely was. I mean, I look at it as I had two options. I could either crawl under a rock in this position that I was in and struggle with trying to lead these team meetings and communicating with my team members and absolutely abhorring it and just being afraid of having these meetings, or I could do something about this and I could increase my skill set. Because like I said, again, it wasn't that I was so much afraid, but I knew I needed to be more polished. There were communication skills that I needed to learn. I needed to know how to talk to these people in a way that they understood what the mission was, or what the vision was for this project that we were working on. It's harder for people to get on board with something that you're asking them to be a part of if they don't understand what is the end goal here, what are we ultimately trying to accomplish. So for me, having that position and having that challenge of not being able to communicate well, that was really a springboard for me to be a better communicator overall, not just in business but in life as a whole. So I think with anything in life, it's just what you make it. You can either decide to let it defeat you, or you can overcome it. That's pretty much how I look at a lot of things in life. There's always a way to approach it, but how are you going to approach it?
And what would you say that has been the decisive milestone toward this big result that you have now, this transformation?
Can you repeat that?
What do you think has mostly counted in the way that you approached that challenge that conducted you towards being now a professional speaker, a coach, and having yourself transformed from that challenge to this current situation in a big way?
Okay. Um, I might say just that I look forward to a challenge. So it was a challenge with the job. And then once I joined Toastmasters and became a better communicator, then that led me to want to do bigger and better things. That made me want to challenge myself more. So once I joined Toastmasters and I did my speeches, you know, you do the first 10 speeches in Toastmasters. I don't know if you probably heard of Toastmasters, Raluca. I don't know if you're in it, but the first 10 speeches, and then you become what's called a competent communicator. You gain your CC. That's what the old program was. The program has since changed. But then I decided to join contests. So it's one thing to at least have the mechanics down, but you know what? Now I want to see if I can put everything that I've learned to the true test and compete in contests. And that has been an awesome experience, to the point where in 2014, I did become my district's humorous contest winner, which is an amazing accomplishment, because you have to start at your club level, and then you go to your area level, and then you go to your division level, and then you go to the district level. So you have to compete against a lot of people at every level. So just doing that, the contest, and then that made me say, hey, well, I'm getting such good feedback from people about how my public speaking skills have drastically improved. They love hearing me. I'm a good storyteller. So I said, well, let me make this official. And that's when I decided I'm going to take on another challenge. I'm going to become certified now. So I think it's just taking, you know, it's like taking that small seed, the small seed that was initially just a challenge at work of not being able to communicate well, and just using that for greater, letting that challenge you even more so that you can fulfill your highest potential. That's how I look at it. That's how it's helped me.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes. I could imagine the journey and the work and the fun and the contest and the experience of having all these eyes on you. And if I would ask you now from the coach and trainer point of view, if someone comes at you and is at the beginning and has no really confidence in his or her speaking skills, and has no ability of seeing his inner potential outside in the speaking arena, how could you make him see his best version out there? How can you make it discover that inside of you, that gem, that seed that has not grown yet?
Well, one thing I do when I first start working with people, or when I have the consultation call, because I always have a quick 20-minute free consultation call with people who are interested in my services. They want to become a better public speaker, but I have a brief survey that I have them fill out. Now, that survey is not just asking them what they think they need to improve in. They know they need to improve in something. That's why they're reaching out. But I also want them to think about, what do I do well already?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to start getting them in that positive mindset from the gate before we even speak, because there is something within them, something that they're already doing well. And most of the people that I work with, they may not have done a ton of public speaking, but they've spoken to maybe one or two groups. And maybe it's something as simple as, I have good eye connection with the group. You know, I'm able to look at everyone, even though they may be scared still, they know that they have good connections with people. Others, they will say that they have passion for what they're talking about. They know that they need to be more polished. They know that they need to be more refined, but they know that their passion is there for the subject that they are talking about. That's a good start, having passion. You cannot be a great public speaker, a powerful presenter, if you are not interested in what you're talking about, if you're just speaking to speak. Because that's one thing I tell people I work with my clients. You're never just speaking to speak. There is something here, something greater than you that you are presenting to the world. So there's a message there that you are obviously passionate about. So we just need that passion to come through. And most people, the passion is there, but again, it's how do I take that passion and how do I package it in such a way that it is professional when I'm presenting to people. So that's really how I start out, with at least trying to build their confidence up. I want them to think about, what do I already do well? Because we can build on everything else that you're trying to improve. But let's take the strengths that you already do have. And once I'm working with people, I can tell what they're doing well. It's amazing when you see the light go off in their eyes when I tell them, hey, you a pretty good storyteller. We might need to tweak this and that here and there, but overall, you are a good storyteller. Or you have good stage presence. You know how to work the stage. You're very conscious, very present about how your body looks to the audience. You look very confident, just your stature, how you are poised on the stage. So I really do try to balance out the coaching with, yes, this is what we can improve, but what are you doing well? We need to capitalize on that too.
Yeah, it's a great way to make them realize their power, to connect to their strengths first.
Yes.
Great. And how was that first experience of working with young people for you in speaking?
Oh, okay. So my primary group, I do work with adults. That's my primary group. But I also have Confident Junior Communicators, which is my youth public speaking program. So that's for 7th and 8th graders. And I actually just finished last month. I concluded my program for this year. I may have another Confident Junior Communicators program still working on it. But I have 7th and 8th graders in it. So it's 5 weekly sessions, and we go over the foundations of public speaking because my goal is just to get them used to presenting in front of people, to make them feel confident, just so they can understand the logical structure of a speech. So we talk about the opening, what's within the opening, how do you hook people in? We talk about the body points, which I call the meat of your speech. If you want to think of your speech as a sandwich, the opening as the bun, the top bun, and then your points as the meat, and then your conclusion as the bottom bun. We talk about visual aids. How can you help the audience understand your points even better? Visual aids can help underscore that, the importance of your points. We also talk about your delivery. How can you use your voice in a way that engages people? And the highs and lows of your voice, inflection, how fast you speak, how slow you speak, just all those things that they don't think about when we think about public speaking. My goal is really to make it fun for them, because if you can teach kids while they're young and help take the fear out of that, then there's a better chance that as they go through high school and college and job interviews subsequently, they're going to feel more confident in your abilities to express themselves. So that's one reason I do have that program. I just think it's important to start kids off young, feeling confident, unlike most people, where our first real public speaking experience was where? When we went to college. We had to do presentations, and you are scared out of your mind, and you can't avoid it. You have to do the presentation, or you're going to get a big fat zero, or you're not going to do well, at least. So that's what my work is about with the youth, with public speaking. I love it, and they're excited to learn. So it's a joy working with them, and I love that their parents think it's important. It starts with the parents, because students really aren't signing themselves up. You know, some are excited to learn off the bat, but then some, it's my mom signed me up for this, and
So how do you
they
deal with this mindset, and how do you make it engaging and adapted to their young age?
you have to keep kids engaged. You have to make it interactive for them. You cannot straight lecture to kids. And here's the funny thing, you have to do that with adults. So we know a lot of us have been doing everything virtual right now. So if you did a workshop in person where you were training adults, now you're doing it virtually. So that means you have to be even more engaging. And it's the same way with children. So yes, I'm teaching them, I'm talking, but I'm also adding other fun elements to it. Like I have impromptu speaking. I'll give them a topic and I'll just say, hey, for 1 to 2 minutes, I just want you to talk about this topic that I'm giving you. Don't overthink it. The point is, I just want you to feel comfortable, to get more comfortable speaking in front of people, to get in the swing of that. So I do a lot of impromptu speaking activities with them. I also will show them videos. Kids love videos. Remember when we were in school and the teacher said, oh, it's video time, and you were like, yeah. The same thing with kids. I'll find videos that speak to whatever the topic is that I'm teaching them at that time. It's one thing for me to talk about it, but to actually show them examples, videos, they love it. And then I also use the polling feature. I have them vote on certain things. They love that. It's a simple engagement feature, but it works for them. You know, it's just adding fun elements to it, adding a lot of visuals. I'm not using a bunch of text on slides when I present. Yes, there is text, but I also use a lot of visuals. I use sounds, anything to engage them. And again, it's the same way with adults. We're not too much different than children. The way I teach adults might be a little different. I'm going to teach them more information. It's going to be more in depth, but you still have to be engaging, whether it's kids or adults.
We definitely love to learn and play meanwhile,
Yes.
and to make it fun.
You have to make it fun. And I think the founder of Toastmasters, Dr. Ralph C. Smedley, said it best. People learn best in moments of fun. when you're having fun and you're learning, it doesn't feel like a chore.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you have to think about it.
Right. I saw that you are also an author. You have written. What is the title of your book?
So the book is called Speak Up, The Ultimate Guide to Dominate in the Speaking Industry. And I'm a part of the Black Speakers Network. So this was a book put out by that network. And it's myself and 30 other authors who contributed a topic to help people who want to become paid speakers. You want to become a solid public speaker and in the craft itself, but you also want to know, well, how do I get speaking engagements, or how do I need to market myself? What are the tools that I need to become a professional speaker? So all the chapters in that book really speak to that. It's like an anthology of sorts. It's the ultimate guide. It truly is for how someone can get started in the speaking industry and how they can be paid. You can be a good speaker, but there are a lot of good speakers who are not being paid. We know some people who are, they may not be so great, but they are getting paid. So the book covers a myriad of topics related to the speaking industry. So it's a great resource, I would say, for anyone who is just getting started, or even if you're already speaking, there's always something to learn.
And how did this initiative took place? How did it become a reality? What was your first thought when maybe someone made you that told you about this project, or was a common idea?
Sure. Well, Brian Olds, he is the founder of Black Speakers Network, and I'm a partner in the network as well. So in December of 2018, he reached out to me and some of the other people, the other authors who were involved with the book. He presented us with what the book was going to be about, the vision for this book. He presented us with an idea for what topic he wanted us to write about, because obviously he knows each of us. He knows our specialty within the speaking field. So he asked us to write about something he knew that we would be a great resource for others to read about from. So that's really the impetus where it started. It was December 2018. So we had to submit our drafts by like early to mid January. Things moved very fast. So once I submitted it, and the other authors did as well, and then Brian and his editor, they went through the motions on the back end to put everything together. The book came out in March of 2018. So really, it was just a span of 3 months that all of this came to fruition. And I was just amazed at how fast it happened. I had never been a part of a book before, so I wasn't sure of the timeline of this. So it was just amazing to be a part of this with so many other experts in this initiative. And I look at the book myself. Even if I have a question still in some things, I still reference the book. So it's not just something I was a part of, it's also something I still use as well, which is why I believe in it. But that's really how it got started, Raluca. It was just the president, Brian, reaching out. Hey, I have this idea. Would you like to be a part of it? Here's what I'd like you to write about. And we jumped on board. And my chapter was called How to Slay the Stage. So it's talking about how to be a good keynote speaker, how to be a fantastic keynote speaker, what are those elements that you need. And I talk about things such as obviously using visual aids, the proper way to use visual aids as well. Like I talk about PowerPoint, because PowerPoint we know is, I would say, the most commonly used visual aid, but I feel like it's also misused as well. So I talk about how to properly use that, and then including stories in your speeches. It's not just providing information, you have to use stories as well. Stories are engaging. Stories also provide messages, they provide good points. So I talk about using that as well. That's another arsenal in your, I'm sorry, that's another tool in your arsenal as a good public speaker. So that's that's what my chapter was about, and that's how the project came about.
So it was a very fast birth process for this book in 3 months. How did you cope with the rhythm? Did you had a routine for writing? Did you make a number of pages to write daily? How did you go with it? And what was the biggest thing that you have learned from writing a collective book?
Well, the good thing is we did have some guidelines as to help us with writing. So we had a word count limit. I think it might have been 1,500 words, if I'm correct. So it wasn't like you could sit there and write a whole novel about your topic. You had a word limit that you had to adhere to, which is good because that forces you to boil down everything that you want
Yes,
to
yes.
say to just the essentials. And isn't that what we teach people as public speaking coaches? You just can't put everything that you know about this topic into this one presentation. It could go on and on. You need to boil it down to what is essential for people to know for this particular topic. What is your end goal? So once I knew the word count, I thought about, okay, let me break this down. That's how I approach a lot of things. Let me break this down. Let me write a few bullet points here about what I think is important for a good keynote presentation, for a presentation period, a good one, and what really makes a keynote speaker. How do you stand out? So I started by writing my bullet points, my outlines, and once I have that, I rolled it even down further to, okay, these are the most important points that I want to talk about, and then I started fleshing each one of those out. My process is pretty simple. We were given a due date, obviously a deadline from when we had to submit the project. So from the time that I first learned about it and accepted the offer to participate from Brian, I just set aside time every evening just to write about the bullet points, get that laid first, then to flesh them out. Tonight on Tuesday, I'm going to write about this bullet point. And I approach projects in two ways. Either I'm going to set aside a certain block of time to do it. And then, once that time is up, it's up. Because otherwise, you could drive yourself crazy doing something all night. Or I'm just going to decide what do I ultimately want to get done today. Maybe I have a bit more time one day, so I can decide, okay, I can really flesh out two of these points a little more. So it's either I'm looking at a chunk of time, which I really need to adhere to, or I want to get this particular part of my chapter done today. Whether it's looking for examples of good keynote speakers, let me do a little research here. Let me find a few statistics to support what I'm saying. I approach it that way. So that's my process, how I did it. I write things down in my planner. That helps me to be more accountable to myself. If I say tomorrow between 5 and 6:30 p.m., I'm going to work on this chapter, then that's what I did. And then, 2 days later, Friday, I'll set aside time to work on it, because you need a break in between sometimes as well, just to step away from it, to give yourself room so you can think about any new fresh ideas. So that's how I do it. My process. Put it down on paper, put it in your planner so you will be committed to it, and then get an outline together and just start fleshing each of your points out, what you're going to talk about. Work from a place of thinking about the deadline. That's helpful too. If I know the deadline is in 2 weeks, then I can work backwards from there on how to get this done in time.
It's a good technique to work backwards in any project we want to accomplish. Roquita, what is your advice, your idea that you would give to someone who wants to become authentic in speaking and communicating his message?
Good question. Um, to become authentic, I think you really need to know yourself, meaning you need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. You need to be honest, have that honest conversation with yourself. Like for me, when I first started, I know that I'm good with vocal variety. You can see the exuberance come from me when I'm excited about something. Like I had a boss a few years ago, and she used to say to me, okay, I'm going to need you to put your game face on when we had to do certain things or certain meetings. She used to say, I need you to put your game face on because I can always tell what you're thinking by just looking at your face. Your face gives it away. Yeah, so in that situations like that, business situations, that might not always be a good thing. But as far as when I'm giving a presentation, I'm telling a story, that works for me. Because when I am excited about something, you see it in my face. When I'm talking about an exciting moment that happened in my story, when I'm talking about something sad that happened, you see that in my face. So using your strengths, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, that can really help you to be authentic. And that's one thing I tell people when I first start working with them. I don't want to squelch who they authentically are. And that's why it's important for me to understand them as a person and as a speaker. Now, why is this topic important to you? I think if people take the time to really think about that, then they don't have to think about authenticity so much. Like, for instance, a mother who may have lost a child to a drunk driver and she's a speaker on the topic of drunk driving, she's going to be authentic. She experienced that. That topic is near and dear to her heart. It's not even like something she has to, she doesn't have to feign authenticity. Yes, she might have to learn how to communicate her message better so that the audience gets it, but they're definitely going to see the passion that she has there. So, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, knowing why this topic is important to you, what is it that's driving you to want to speak about this? That is going to help when it comes to your authenticity. I think it's tough if you're talking about a subject that you really are not interested in, or maybe something that you're asked to speak about. Because if you're working, if you have your 9 to 5, there are going to be things that you have to speak about. It's your job. It's not necessarily a passion of yours, but you're doing it to do it. Um, so I just think it might be tougher there sometimes. You feel like being authentic, but when it's something that you love talking about, that's going to shine through. So I think that's what helps with being authentic.
Great, thank you. What was the most embarrassing or difficult moment in your speaking career till now?
It's a good question, Raluca. I would probably say I was early on when I first started doing more public speaking workshops. I was speaking to one group, and I did not prepare in enough time. And mind you, I knew months in advance, but sometimes you think, oh, I know this topic well, I don't really have to prepare, and I can just get this together a few days before the event. And then when you're starting to get everything together, you're realizing, oh, well, maybe I should have taken the time to really get this together, because at that point, it's hard for you to organize your information. You have so much information that you want to talk about, you're making yourself crazy at that point, and you're not feeling organized, you're feeling scattered, and then you're not going to be in a calm state of mind, obviously, when you're scattered. So it's going to be hard for you to get up there and speak to that group. And I was just talking to this group about solid public speaking skills that you need to be a good presenter, and talking about how to be more confident. And I did have my notes, luckily, if I needed to refer to them. My notes were on a table, which was a little ways distance away from me. So I'm talking and I'm kind of in a good flow, not feeling totally confident because I knew I had not practiced this as I should have, but the information was getting out there. But then I had a mind blank. I just totally spaced out what I wanted to say next. And I stood there for a moment thinking about it. I did not want to have to go grab my notes, but in the end I did. And I just said, excuse me, went to grab my notes to get myself back on track. And then everything was okay at that point. It went a little smoother, but I was rattled a bit inside though. So that taught me a valuable lesson. Even if you do know your information, you still need to take enough time to prepare it. You need to give your audience your all. You can have all the information, but if it's not organized in a logical manner, it's going to become very clear. You're going to ramble, you're going to go off topic, you're trying to figure out what do I need to say next because you really haven't internalized the material. So that I would say was probably my most embarrassing moment. Even though it went well for the audience, I knew I could have done much better.
Did you think that your audience appreciated your vulnerability and your openness to reach for your notes?
Definitely. Even when they saw that I was getting this lapse in memory, and I stood there for a moment trying to gather myself. And I remember one gentleman saying, "It's okay, it's okay." And I just went to grab my notes to continue on with it. So they were very forgiving. But again, I knew that I should have practiced and prepared for this a lot more in advance than I did.
And if you go back into your journey, could you pick a rewarding moment in your speaking career to share with us?
Absolutely. Say I would say one of the most rewarding things that I have done to date, it was 3 years ago when I spoke at the actor Paul Newman. He has a nonprofit called the Newman's Own Foundation. And they have a group, it's an organization where they take students who have just finished college and the students get to work in a position. I think it might have been related to human services or social services, but helping to create change in society. They worked in that type of role for a certain amount of time. I think it was a year before they would actually go on to find their own real jobs. But that position gave them some work experience, and I'm sure it looked good on their resume. So they have a graduation ceremony of sorts at the end of the program when the students are done. And they have speakers come in and talk to the students. And I was asked to be a speaker at their ceremony. And I talked about resilience. And I think that's something that was really needed. It's something that every student needs to hear about as they're leaving one part of life and going into a whole new world. You've been in college all this time. You've started this, it's like a long internship with the organization, but now you're going into your first real job. So you are going to need to know how to bounce back from things, how to, what's the word I'm looking for? Just how to transition from one part of your life to another part. So giving that talk on resilience was very gratifying to them, and just giving them some examples from my own life and just helping them to know that yes, challenges will come because this is life, but you will get through it. You don't have to get weighed down or feel like all is lost, that you're at a roadblock. It's just knowing how to navigate challenges, and we all have the ability to be resilient. So that was one event that really sticks out in my speaking journey that I truly love.
It sounds like you have found the right words for the right moment for them.
Yes,
um,
absolutely.
Apart from your career and from speaking, what do you love to do in your free time, Roquita?
I am a bookworm, Raluca. I'm a nerd. I love to read. I'm a big reader, and I have so many books on my bookshelf right now that I'm still trying to catch up on because sadly, I'm one of those people who is always ordering books from Amazon, and I've still got books on my list that I'm still trying to finish. I'm sure there's some kind of, they probably have a disorder, some kind of name for that, but I just, I love to read, and I've been like that since I was a child. And even when I'm traveling, I'm usually taking a book with me because if there's a moment of downtime, I'm going to read my book. I also love to travel. Obviously, I can't really do a lot of that right now with everything going on with the pandemic. So have to do a lot of staycations, staying local, but I do love to see different parts of the world. Like right now, I wish I could be somewhere in the tropics, but I can't do that at the moment. So I would say reading, traveling, spending time with my family, having Sunday dinners, I still think is important. So I'll go to my parents on Sundays and have dinner with them. That's stuff that I look forward to because life gets so busy, but you really just have to take those moments of enjoyment when you can. So that's what I do for fun.
Great ways of enjoying your time and getting knowledge also. What is your next book on the list? On your
Oh,
waiting list?
oh my gosh, good question. You know what? I don't think I can even answer that right now because I actually just finished a book related to my craft about storytelling and public speaking. So that wasn't a book so much for leisure. But I think my next book, no matter what it is, it'll be something for fun. I haven't read a book just for recreation in a long time, and I think I need that balance again. I'm always reading books on how to be better with public speaking and communication, so that can help me to be a better public speaking coach. But I gotta have fun too. So
Right.
I do. I'm looking at my bookshelf. I have books. I have a lot of recreation books. Some books I've had for years, but I have yet to crack open. So I think now is a good time to do that since I can't travel as much. Maybe I can read about a faraway place.
You mentioned your family dinners and staying together. Um, could you tell us, please, what are you grateful for in your family relationships?
Well, I'm thankful that I'm close to my parents. I get sad when I hear about people who are not close to their parents or they have these challenging relationships. But my parents and I, we have this saying. It's a funny saying between me and my parents and the saying is that I grew up with my parents. Just meaning that my parents were, they were young parents. They weren't older when they had me. So, they were in their 20s and I was still young and they were still young. So while they're still my parents and they let me know that they still put me in my place if I needed to be, but it's like they're my friends too in a way now that I'm an adult, but that respect is still there. I still revere them. They are still authority figures and whatnot. But we have such a good relationship and we just have good times together. We enjoy, like I said, having dinners together, traveling together. We have my family reunions on my dad's side every year. We couldn't have it this year, obviously, sadly, because of the pandemic, but my family, all of us are very close. We get together at our family reunions in the South, in Georgia or Florida. every year. So I just think it's important to keep those family relationships. And especially now where everyone had to be home, who were you going to talk to? I hope you were getting closer with your family members. You couldn't really go anywhere. So hopefully this helps you to become even closer to those in your family if you weren't before. So maybe that was one good part of the pandemic. So for me, keeping those family relationships strong, I think that's very important. You know, I have my brother, my sisters. I'm the oldest of four. I have my nephews who are identical twins. They just turned 13. They're the only little people, as I call them, the children in our family. So they are spoiled. They are our heart. But it's important to stay close to your family.
Right. What is your favorite thing about yourself, Roquita?
My favorite thing about myself, uh, that I marched to the beat of a different drummer. My mother always said that about me since I was a child. And I mean, she said that in a good way, that I don't always follow the crowd and I have my own mind. It's okay to agree to disagree with people. People don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with them. I'm okay with making my own decisions and going my own way. And I don't feel like I need a crowd to approve of my decisions. I like I don't mind doing things by myself. Some people have a problem being by themselves. I have traveled overseas by myself, which was amazing. I encourage everyone to do that if you've never done that. But I think just being okay with yourself in your alone time, just going your own way, having your own convictions and beliefs, respecting other people, that's something I like about myself. I'm okay with being myself and not feeling like I need to go along with the crowd and for people to jump on what I'm doing.
Thank you. The first relationship is the one with yourself.
Absolutely.
And now that we have reached the final line of our interview,
I
I
can't
just want
believe it.
the time has passed so fast. I just want you to ask to complete the phrase, me, Roquita, I am, with one word.
Me, Roquita, I am confident in who I am. Oh, you said one word. I'm sorry, Raluca. I am confident.
It makes
Meaning,
totally sense and it feels like it. So I could tell from what you said as an answer to the previous question that having that mindset of dancing to a different drummer, it's a totally confidence sign. I had that in the back of my mind while you were answering, so it matches perfectly. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your vision and your ideas with us, and for being such a warm presence and an authentic spirit. It was such a pleasure to have this conversation with you, and we will keep in touch.
thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm honored. Thank you so much for just having me on this I Am series, and hopefully something I said will inspire someone. So I thank you, Raluca.
I am convinced that you have inspired people. And you, our listeners, if you find something useful and insightful, please click the link in the description and donate a small amount of money to the hospital in Romania. Have a great day, you all, and see you. Bye.